All right, here we go. I'll be forgetting this stuff.
Welcome to CJ Said It YouTube channel. Go ahead, subscribe, like, and let's get ready to talk about it all.
I gotta run that one back one time.
Welcome to CJ Said It YouTube channel. Go ahead, subscribe, like, and let's get ready to talk about it all.
It's a hit.
Ooh la la la. Ooh la la la. You made me go. Ooh la la la. It's a brand new feeling for me. Natural healing for me. I think you was meant for me. Ooh la la la. It's a brand new feeling for me. Natural healing for me. I think you was meant for me. I found my purpose. The feelings that I have is for certain. And I
All right, y'all. Hattie.
I'll just playing. I really am. Yeah. Hey, everybody.
All right. So first of all, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the CJ Said It podcast. Y'all, thank you so much for joining me once again. I know I do not have a schedule. I know I don't, but thank y'all for every time I say I'm gonna go live and we do it. BX the GOAT, y'all in the building. Dolly, hey everybody, salute. So y'all, we got a good one for y'all. And my nerves, I don't know. But I just been feeling a sense of anxiety all day today, like anticipating this topic, like for real. And I don't know if it's because I resonate with it so much, but we gonna get right into it. So I'm gonna let everybody say welcome. Y'all tell the people who y'all are, and then we're gonna go from there. We'll start with Hattie.
Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Hattie. I am an entrepreneur, mother of two. Just getting more into the social world. Stepping into my call, my purpose. That's pretty much about me.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Next.
I am Tina. I am not an entrepreneur, but I am a supervisor for an insurance company and I handle litigation for auto insurance. No kids, but I have been married for 20 years. Pretty much it about me. Or if you follow me on TikTok, mind your business.
All right. Thank you. Monkey Man. No introduction.
Archbishop Pastor Monkey Man of Greater Mount Carmel Baptist Church. No, but I don't know what I am. I'm just on the panel. I'm trying to get on.
He sounds just on the counter. Anywho, all right, y'all. So tonight's discussion, we are talking about imputed sins. Now, before we jump into the topic, I'm just going to give y'all a definition really quick. If y'all can hear me okay in the comment, let me know if it's an echo or anything. Just let me know. Um, I wanted to give a definite. Everybody know what sins is, okay? We all know we born. The word tells us that we're all born in sin. Okay, so we know what sins are. But the word impute, it means it represents something, especially something undesirable, as being done, caused, or possessed by someone. Attribute, okay, assigned to something by inference from the value of the products or processes to which it contributes. By imputing the interest rates, they potentially introduce a measurement error. All right. With that being said, I just wanted everybody to understand what the word impute means. Okay. So I think I want to let Trina start off with give us your interpretation just by that statement alone. Imputed sin, and let's not forget the subtitle, which is sins passed on by our parents.
Okay. So imputed sins for me is something that's passed down from your parents to you. Something that your parents hadn't dealt with, but something that's passed down to you. Almost some people look at it like a generational curse, so to speak. It, I compare it to the same thing of Adam and Eve. When Adam and Eve messed up, we now we atone for the sins of our forefathers. That's the way I look at imputed sins. It's not something that we necessarily done, but we were directly affected by it.
Okay. How do you want to go next?
I mean, I agree with what she said. I look at it the same way. That the repercussion of the sins that were passed down from, our parents, our grandparents, great grandparents, similar to the things that were, swept under the rug, the things that were not talked about or discussed, or was not allowed to be talked about or discussed, and just examples of those things are pretty much as a deal with abuse, whether that was sexual abuse, mental, physical abuse. Those are some of the main things that are just those fabrication and lies and white lies that were told about, different births in the family and who belonged to who, and, what really transpired in different homes, and, just the outlook on tradition, things that were traditionalized.
I like that. I agree. I agree with all that. Salute, Bass. All right, Monkey Man, your turn.
I agree with it and I don't agree with it because I don't. I mean, because you know me, sis, I go all the way biblical with it, and then that's the only way I can understand it. Like because, like they just said, it's generational. This curse been on us before our parents, our ancestors got this curse put on us, which comes over into us. Because if we take on our parents' sin, then they take on their grandparents' sin, and then they take on their great grandparents. You see what I'm saying? It just keep going back and back and back. That's how I look at it.
Well, I'm glad you said that because that's actually what's going to take us into the conversation. So, everybody's correct, and I love everybody's perspective. The thing that I want to tap into is why do we think that it continues to carry on? Okay. Um for me, my perspective of it is, I'm sorry, y'all. Somebody's coming to deliver some furniture to my house. I apologize. Um, to me, the reason the reason I feel like it just continues to carry on is because the parents at the time does not actually take the time to understand this what the problem is, and they have kids, and what they do is they pass on the learned behavior. Now the mirror is no longer on them, regardless if they got it right, they fixed themselves or not. Now they have kids, and something is happening with the kids. Maybe they're being rebellious, maybe they are not, they don't want to believe in the God that they believe in, or they don't want to do the things that they do. And so what they end up doing is now making the kids the bad guys. And the problem that we miss, and I say we because I also had to fix this within myself. Instead of talking about and punishing the behavior or the child, find out what the behavior is and where it's coming from, because it's been passed down. And one thing I think that we miss is, and this is spiritual, because I'm always be spiritual with it.
Mm-hmm.
God is telling a parent, you're missing the opportunity to fix the behavior in yourself because you're just concentrating on the behavior in the child. It will stop when you fix you. So I digress, and I'll let somebody else make a point, from based from what I just said, or
You're so
your opinion.
right. You are so right. I think that was a level of conviction for me. Because raising up kids, we're not perfect. Sometimes we fall short, or we're trying to be. At this point, we are not our ancestors. We are the product thereof. We are superseding, and we are taking action. So we are the generational curse breakers now. So it is important that we, fix ourselves, and then in turn show the kids a different way from what we were taught, or whatnot. Because oftentimes we can think it's easier as well to sweep it under the rug, or to now we need to just focus on the kids, the issue that has passed on to them versus fixing ourselves. So I totally 100% agree with that.
All right, anybody else?
Yeah. I look at it as, and I'm going to say in the African American households, a lot of us don't
Mike, you can
know accountability. And I don't necessarily blame my parents, because they raised kids during their generation based off of what they were taught during that time period. They didn't have, access to social media like we do now, where kids are more so interacting, because everyone thought the same thing back then. This is how we did it. This is what works for us at this time. I'm going to teach my kids the same thing. They're never taught to unlearn things, and to learn new things. So they pass that down. And then you have our generation, where we look at something totally different. It was like, hold on, I'm not comfortable with that. But any pushback or resistance back then was a form of disrespect. So you can address it. You couldn't address it because you were stepping outside of a child's place then. You were being disrespectful, because that was a taught behavior. They learned that. So now that we're where we are now, I look at it as it's our turn to relearn things and teach the newer generation the right
unlearn,
unlearn,
and then
unlearn, and then relearn, and teach them the right way or the best way. A lot of it is pride, because you can't tell us that we're wrong. But until we deal with that internally, we'll still pass it on.
Yeah,
I agree. I definitely agree. Monkey Man, come on, throw the wrench in there.
I'm finna throw one in there too. So my whole thing is, I grew up with my mama and my grandmother, and my behavior I never could identify through them. So if we have a generation of courage, did it come from my father's side? Because he wasn't in my life like that. And I'm addicted to bad shit. And my grandma and them and my mama go to church, and I wasn't trying to go to church. I wanted to run the streets. So then, as a parent, how do you fix something you never identified with? See what I'm saying?
Because it never crossed your mind that it could come from your father, but I can tell you, I can be guaranteed. Sometimes you can look. You don't have to know your mom, your dad, it could be your aunt. It could have come from your uncle you didn't know, an aunt you didn't know. Sometimes we have those characteristics that are passed down from generations, and we don't know where it comes from. But I can guarantee you, I can pinpoint, like, if you were to ever meet them or whatnot, you'll actually look, and that can even characteristic wise, similarities as far as facial features and things like that. It's the same thing when you talk about character.
That's why I said it came from my father's side of the family. I found out where it came from. My uncle was in the army. Both my uncles was outstanding men. Like I say, my mama went to work, did this, that, and the third. I gravitated to the streets because that's what my father did. Gravitate to the streets. You feel what I'm saying? Gang member, all this, whoop to whoop, prison, all that from my daddy's side of the family. All my brothers, not my sisters so much, but as far as the men side, we was just bad actors. You know what I'm saying? And like you say, it might have skipped the generation because sometimes generational curses skip generation, just like generational diseases. High blood pressure, that skip a generation. So, at the end of the day, maybe because I had on my mama's side, my great grandfather was stagecoach robber. So it was like maybe I got there because I like to steal. So at the end of the day, maybe I got that from them, or maybe never came from the home. Maybe I just picked it up from being in the streets.
I
That's
wanna,
what I
I
grabbed.
wanna, I wanna say this. And Mike, I like you coming. Mike said, but we'll
I
quickly
see that.
for everything. Let me break it down and add some things to it. If we look at my own family, okay? Um, myself as my kids honestly say that I talk to them about my bad behavior. They saw me change some things, and now they can say their mom has some good behavior that is being taught, right? That's because I chose to identify with my bad behavior. I'm not talking about nobody's parents, mothers, and fathers, but as children, you never look at your parents and say, my mama we do now, okay? We do now. We call out the bad behavior. But the generations before us, they just rebelled. They still gave their parents the highest honor because that's what we're taught. The Bible tells us to honor thy mother and thy father. Do not speak against them. So with all of those real feelings, you don't get to speak those things when you saw your mom talking to your dad crazy, or there was no man in the house and your mama was talking to the little boy as if he was nothing because of the anger and the rage from the father's, the relationship between the mother and the father, or a young boy being in a house full of women and always hearing, I don't need no man, I don't need no man. Those are things that gets embedded in the child. And so if the child is made to feel unsafe and unworthy in the home, yes, that child is going to run out in the streets and get into things or do things in search of just trying to feel like something, just
Yeah.
trying to find some love. Because at the end of the day, a lot of our parents were representatives in our home. They were who they were, but it was a mask. And then we also masked it for them to look a certain type of way on the outside.
Right. Because you better not leave outside of my house and talk about anything that's going on in
It
my house.
that goes on in my house. Because what goes on in my house stays in my house. And so what does that do? Now you don't even have a safe place to be able to express my mama is abusive. My daddy is abusive. Or I don't like the way my mama is sticking by my daddy's side, even though he's being abusive. And I'm going to speak on this from a woman's perspective. Seeing a man that you love as your father treat your mother any kind of way, but then being told that a man is supposed to love and protect you like your father does, but that father is abusive, that can be very confusing to a young girl. So then she grows up and she either she becomes the abuser or she accepts the abuse. Those are the qualities that she looks for.
It's normal.
It becomes
It's
normal. And then I'm not a man, but I can only think that if a man is in a home where the father is being abusive or vice versa, he is also going to pick up those attributes and he is going to exert that in his adult life.
Yep. This is true.
Yeah, I would say this about men back in the day. Men back in the day were the majority were taught to be providers. Basically, you work on the outside and the woman works on the inside, handling the house and the children. So a lot of men didn't have a hand in rearing their young boys until they became of age, when they felt they can do something. Now, in that same breath, I would say that when it comes to a father disciplining his son or trying to raise him, a lot of mothers take issue with that because mothers protect their sons and they train their daughters. It's a difference. So you see a lot of men who want to correct their sons, but they know that it's going to be a fight with mom. And some women have to learn to turn their back and let daddy handle the son, because the son is going to become bigger than you one day, and you cannot handle him. So for me, it goes back to how back in the day everything was done. That's what men did. They provided back in the day. And there was no accountability. Not saying that women didn't have any, but a lot was placed on them. But that goes back generations. It didn't just start with our parents or our grandparents. It started way back then.
What's going on, people? What's going on?
Hello.
Hello.
So,
What's going on, Mike? Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. My first time on CJ said it. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Well, go on, jump in there. Go on, jump in there.
Well, I've been listening. I've been listening for the last 5 to 6 minutes roughly. As you can see, I've been commenting and whatnot. But to my sister that was just speaking, I ain't gonna lie. That comment you had before what you just said, hey, you said a lot there. But I want to ask you, when you say a lot was put on the women back then, can you further elaborate?
yes. So I would say if you go back and look at it, a lot, when I say a lot was put on women, girls, their mothers and fathers raised them to marry and take care of families. So they were young, not fully mature, but they were young, 15, 16 years old, jumping into households, having kids, and the man was providing. He was going to work back then. He was providing, but it was her responsibility to take care of the household, to feed her family, to make the clothes with what he brings in, to discipline her kids, bring them up. So when he came home, the only thing he had to do was rest because he worked outside. That was a lot of the families. And I'm talking about grandmothers and and a great grandparent back then. That's what they had to do. So when it came to them having their own daughters, they raised their daughters with that same mindset. You need to train your daughters up to do this. This is what you need to do to take care of your family. So it was never, let me teach my son how to wash his clothes or how to fix his own food. It was, let me show my daughter how to do this, or get in there and cook your siblings something to eat. It was always placed on them, and the men, go out there and go cut the grass. You need to go do that. So when I say a lot was placed on the women, I mean household work and rearing of the children.
Got you. Now, I'd make a slight argument against that just in this regard. You hear more of our elder generation teaching their daughters don't depend on no man. Go out here and get it for yourself, because that man could leave you at any second.
Let me interrupt you for a second. They say that now because now they're the elders. But back when they were us back in the day, they had a completely different mindset because their grandparents and their moms taught them, you go in the house, you cook, you clean, you bathe the kids, you feed them, you make breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You make sure your husband is taken care of, his feet is rubbed, his back is rubbed, because he's working on the outside of the house. He's working all day. Your total responsibility is, what's inside of the home from start to finish. That's from waking up to going to bed at night and when he come home at night. Now they're older. So now they are telling us something different, but that's not what they showed us. That's not what was showed to us.
You're not wrong in nothing you just said, though. Now, I set it up like that to say this. Were we better off as a people back then when you were getting taught, hey, husband, take care of this, take care of that, and we was a family, we was family oriented, or are we doing better now with the push of independence?
I am going to say no and no.
Well, they can't be too negative.
I'm
It can't be too
I'm going
negative.
to say that back then we weren't better. Yes, we were together, but we were together for survival, if that makes sense.
Right,
It was
right.
it wasn't learning from each other's for survival. Do I think
Hmm.
we're better now with the families divided? No, I don't. I because I personally feel that a woman can't raise a man, and I feel that a man
Agreed.
can't
I
raise a
agree with
woman.
that.
So I feel that both parents need to be in a household to make it a unit, but that you have to get rid of the stereotypes that's been placed on you. Those this is what a man is supposed to do. This is what a woman is supposed to do. Because at the end of the day, y'all are both husband and wife. Y'all are both parents, and that child needs both of y'all. And going back to
Agreed.
what you were saying about, would our parents tell us the same thing? I'll be the one to tell you, I live with both parents, and my daddy
Mm,
told all his girls never to depend on no man to do anything. You need to get out
mm,
there and you need to be able to take
Get
care of
y'all.
yourself. You need to, but he also taught me to respect the man that I'm with.
mm.
It
I
was
like that.
a life lesson. My first car, you need to know how to change this tire because I may not be here. Your brothers
Okay.
may not be here.
Okay. Hey,
But when
and
you
what
get with a but
you
he was when you get with a man,
Hey,
you stand
hey,
firm, but
let me interrupt real quick because I want to add a point to that. I'm gonna be very transparent. I had a father who said those same things. You make sure you get a man that take care of you, da 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 da. But for years, I'm watching him dog my stepmother.
That's it.
So what do you think that's doing to me as a female and my mind frame?
sending mixed
Imputed
signals.
sins.
Now,
You see
that's
it?
sending
Do
mixed
as I say, not as I do.
and that is some of the most ignorant shit I ever heard in my life. But it's some of the
But
things
that's
we
how we
spent.
were raised.
because when we were
Just the
children, we
reality
were
of
to
it is
be
that's how we were
Mhm.
raised.
Yeah, when we were children, we were to be seen and not heard.
Correct.
Mm. But say action speaks louder than words, right?
Hmm.
That's what they say.
Crazy. But no,
So,
okay, 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 okay.
do y'all think the saying being seen and how you say it, you need to be seen, not heard?
Children
Be,
are to be
be,
seen and not heard.
Did they ever tell us can we be heard? Because a lot of time we still hold stuff in.
No, and that goes back to us as a collective. We were never able to express because as Black people, we are meant to be able to put up with any type of struggle. Is what people look at us. Oh, they can put up with it. They can deal with it,
Yeah.
no matter what it
We the
is. So
oppressed,
we choose
so
to
we can deal with it.
internalize that. And it's passed on to our children because we internalize it. Like kid, y'all heard the saying when grown folks are talking, kids get out of grown folks' face, stay out of grown folks' business.
yeah.
But they don't realize that those same kids you talking to, just because you're an adult and you're going through your everyday stresses, doesn't mean that those children aren't stressed out as well. We were never given a safe space to express our feelings and the way we were feeling. And unfortunately, that's why it's a bunch of jacked up adults now or children
This
now
is
because
true.
they're back in a child's place because they can't express themselves even as an adult.
Mm. Well, okay. I accept that and I respect that perspective for sure. But I also believe that there is a time and place for everything. And a child's ears shouldn't be able to hear everything that adults talk about because we know what we talk
That
about
part.
in certain regards.
Yeah.
And there be some type of structure here when it comes to children. Because if not, we will end up creating unruly children. Like, yes, your opinion does matter in certain regards when asked your opinion. Because, like, let's say you
Right.
ask your child to do something. Well, I don't feel like doing that. Why should I have to do that? I didn't ask you what you felt like doing. I told you to do something. As your parent, I would never ask you to do anything that jeopardizes you physically, mentally, spiritually, sexually, anything.
I think it
So,
could be a double whammy because now in this generation, the kids are being told, they hear us saying, oh, you can voice yourself, you can say what you want.
right,
But I don't think in every situation that is okay, because they eventually become to be disrespectful. And not
Yeah,
only are they doing
for
it at
sure.
home, they're doing it at school. So if they're doing
Yo,
it at school, they're doing it at home, and vice
talk
versa.
talk about it now. Who on the balance of probabilities here? Who more often than not is the disciplinarian in the house?
The
It depends on the
woman.
home.
Well, yeah,
It
that
depends
too.
on the
I'm
home, really. I think
saying
personally,
typically it's your father that
it should be.
disciplinarian.
Yeah, I would
It
say it
should be. But if
should
the
be the
father is
father.
rarely there, then
Like you said, you have to
that
look at
responsibility falls.
yeah. When you have men that's outside the home that's working, then a lot of the time the woman has to handle the disciplinary action at that time.
Correct.
Right. But when he comes home, and that's why I don't like the whole, oh, when he come home, he just kicks his shoes off and just relax. No, brother. Your job is not done. You have children
Mhm.
in the home. Being a parent is a full-time job, 24/8.
Correct.
There's no
Correct.
off days of being a parent. Unless,
No off days.
even in death, when your child dies, you're still a parent. So
Yeah.
I mean, so the interpretation of the, well, he just come home after work and just kicks his foot off. It's the interpretation is his job is done and he doesn't do anything else, and that's the furthest from the truth. Because if he's not acting as a disciplinarian, how could the mother be the emotional one, be the nurturing one, and be the disciplinarian? Something got to give here. Something is
And that's why
going
she
to
said
give
a
here.
lot of it was always on them, and they didn't see no other out. Now we've
Fair,
progressed as a people to where, you have men that are stepping in at the forefront and taking, that initiative.
but
But
everything
I
we're
think it's
talking. Go no, go ahead, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, you good.
E- Everything we're talking about is imperative on why they say you should marry before you carry. Because once you marry a person, that means you've done your discernment on who they are, what they about, in all phases, good, bad, ugly, and anything in between. Now we can go to the next stage as far as having a child. So that way we don't have to worry about the whole, because a man knows if I'm married to this woman and I have a child by this woman, I am financially required to be here because I will lose significantly if I walk out the door.
So let me ask y'all something. Let me switch it up a little bit. All of us
Go
have
ahead.
been in relationships, right? I think everybody on his panel has kids except for Trina.
I don't have no kids.
Girl, you got kids. So according to what Mike just said, the things that should the steps that should be taking place, know who you're marrying and whatnot. My question is, in your previous relationships, were you all having these kind of conversations? And I'll let you go first, Mike.
Was I having discussions? Nah, I got married at 18 years old. So I wasn't nowhere near in the mind frame I'm in right now. So had I had those conversations, my life probably would have been a little bit different. Am I complaining about the person I had kids with? Oh no, especially looking at everybody else's situation. Not talking about the people on the panel. I'm just saying just other people in general. So yeah, should I've had those conversations? Most definitely. Am I having those conversations today? Oh, you damn right. I got to know.
Yeah.
Cause you don't get that. Cause like I feel like as a man, bro, I don't get that pass of, oh, I was young, I was dumb, I didn't know no better. And like, brother, you 31 with 4 kids. How you didn't know no better? So, and you got a podcast that teach about this. You be on other people's podcasts talking about stats, data, statistics, and all these other things. So how you didn't know? So it's imperative to know. Cause this is your life. You only get one.
You only get one.
Ain't no
Don't get
redos.
another
So
one.
it's imperative to know these things, because like you have to be especially if you're trying to bring kids in the situation, you have to be a long-term provisioner. You can't be a short-term provisioner because kids are a long-term thing. Marriage is a long-term thing. Hell, relationships are a long-term thing. Y'all ever seen a parent that has narrow-sighted vision?
When you say narrow
Yeah,
sighted,
'cause when I was
what do you mean?
Man, when I say narrow sighted, I mean like only short term vision. They can only provision for the short term, for the now,
Oh,
not tomorrow,
gotcha.
not next week, not next month, but just today. Today, Monday.
Yeah.
I actually do know individuals like that, but I after I talk to them, I actually, and it's so crazy because me and Boo just talked about this.
Mhm.
It's not a bad thing when a person slows down and does not worry about everything. It
Mhm.
allows them to actually concentrate on
The
one of the
moment.
problems.
Fair. That's fair. That's a fair point.
But then
Yeah,
you
it's
go,
okay to live in the moment sometimes, because sometimes we can be so fast paced and so, thinking so far out and not, basking in the moment, not taking care of those little small things or those things that we need to zone in on. So that's
Hmm.
not totally a bad thing.
But look at how we're phrasing it though. Sometimes it's not a bad thing. So that means it's not sustainable. It might work Monday,
Okay.
but it might work on Friday. It could work Monday and Wednesday, but it might not work on Tuesday and Thursday. So
I think,
go,
not to interrupt you, but I
no,
think
no, you
what
good.
it
Go ahead.
is, I think us as women, we actually are better at doing that because we naturally have to. I'm not saying that men are
Better, better doing
capable.
the long term provisioning or the short term provisioning.
The oh, I know I was talking about juggling like more
Juggling,
than one.
juggling both of them. Okay.
Yeah, because we
Mm,
do it's our daily routine too, especially
Know when to
okay.
hop in and hop out, what
The,
to be I guess detailed, and know when to, can multitask on a few things, can prioritize what needs to be prioritized, so to speak.
I got you. I got you. But is that out of I have to, or is because I choose to?
oh, it's definitely out of I have to for me, and I can only
You
say this
have to when you
because
got, especially when you got kids.
I was just about to say the main reason is because I have kids. So so at the
If
top of
not,
the
you'll go crazy if you don't prioritize. I remember when I had my son. My kids are 8 years apart. I remember feeling like I was literally going fucking crazy trying to adjust, trying to, do everything you need to do. So I think it's a natural womanly nature, especially when you have kids, to develop that power, that strength to be able to prioritize and to focus on what needs to go first, what goes last. Calculate your life, what's a priority, what's not.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Guys, now, father, we're taught from birth how to be long-term provisioners. That's why they tell you things like, "Oh, you want to be a rapper? Oh, no, 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 that's not realistic. You got to go get you a real job. You got to go get you a career, something that could pay you something that could set up a 401k, a
And I
retirement,
hate
these
that
type of
too,
things."
because that's another thing that's passed down from generations. That whole, you can't be a rapper at 40, da 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 da. In this generation we live in, I'm a strong believer in God. They want to believe that God works all these miracles, bringing people from the dead. Why he can't work a miracle and bless somebody to become, a big time entertainer at 50 years old, or whatever the case, whatever their dream is, whatever they have manifested for their life and believed God for. I don't understand that whole narrative of,
I
in the
feel
black
that, sister,
community,
but
we
that's just,
can really go ahead. I'm sorry.
hey, I feel that, sister, but there's nothing in entertainment or the rap industry that is of God. So
There are some
that
gospel rappers that are strongly in the spirit. And
well,
if they were a regular rapper, it's not all about, I'm not trying to just say, you know, what I'm saying is God don't only bless, people who are just out here strictly doing his work. Just because Jay-Z, for one, or any other rapper you can think of, I'm not highly into rap, but Kanye or whoever the case, um that is a gift that God gave them. They might not be going around preaching or doing gospel rap, you know what I mean, but they still basking in their gift because God blessed them with that. So, and they're using it. So to say that a person at the age of 40, 50, 60, whatever, cannot reach their full potential or their goals or whatever, financial or whatever climax that they have set for their life, they can't reach that. because we have been programmed to believe that a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old, 60-year-old should not be rapping, or they shouldn't be um I get shit on the moon. They can't go to NASA because they too old, or whatever the case. Anyway, that's my soapbox. But I don't believe that we should be told what we can and cannot do because of a certain age criteria or whatever was set by our put in our head by our parents and grandparents.
Yeah, because I'm 42 and I'm starting my stripping career right now.
I can't
Me
stand.
too. I'm about to be a not no
I,
stripper, but I'm about to do something.
I cannot stand him. I really cannot.
I'm about to win the
But
lottery tomorrow, and I
Yeah,
don't even play, but I'm going to play tomorrow because they're gonna
I
tell me
thank
because
you.
I'm 40 years old and I never play, I ain't gonna be able to win.
I thank you, Miss Hattie.
Says
You
who?
gave me the inspiration to say I can do it. I thank you for that. I
We was
needed
talking
that.
about that early this morning at work because somebody said that they're in their late 40s,
No,
early
I know where I'm
50s.
going.
They
I
couldn't
got you
start
there.
their decorative
You in the
business.
suitable
Why
one.
not? The Colonel, how old was he? I think he was like 80.
Oh, Kentucky Fried Chicken when he stole that recipe from the slaves. Yeah, he's about 80.
I'm not about to
Oh
play with
man,
ooh, y'all, here you go. He throwing them wrenches in there.
yeah, y'all done got him started.
you.
But
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 still, whatever it is you want to do, I'm just telling you. And my daughter talked about this at the Women Empowerment Award ceremony when she got her Youth Entrepreneur Award. Uh, Shout out to CJ. She talked about that. It don't matter what age you are. She started her business at 11. She's 14 now, and it's booming like we never thought. It don't matter what age you are. Do whatever you think God called you to do. If you believe that He called you to do it, keep pressing toward it, keep manifesting it, keep praying
And
and
let me
absolutely.
ask
believing.
you this. Let me ask you this, because I'm glad he said that. Is that part of the generational curse thing we were talking about?
So
Because you have,
let me jump in here because we about to change it up one more time, and I think that this gonna bring it all to an end. And I gotta give a shout out to my boy JJ, who he told me not to take his stuff, but I got to. So at the end of the day, we have to, and I think the GOAT said it too. He said, hey, it was something that he said about the government. It's deeper than that. The government has a major role in the development of the Black home. So let's get back to this. At the end of the day, we say we believe in God. We're Christians, we're followers of the word. Okay. We do know that the government and everything that is going on right now in 2024, we were brought up in this society where it was never created for us in the first place. And I ask this question all the time: why are we continuing to chase a success that they put a definition on? So, with that being said, back to our topic, imputed sins. Do you all think that possibly if we stepped away from their religion, I'm not talking about God, but if we stepped away from their religion back in the day and the things that they were actually taught and passed down, possibly we could have fixed a big part of the problem?
Yes, indeed. I believe so.
And what I mean is, see, now we're tapping into what they've been doing in their homes all these years. They sat down at the
Mhm.
dinner table and had real conversations with their children. When they kids was coming out the womb, babies at the table, around and having positive conversations, even though a lot of them worship the devil. I don't care what nobody say, but at the end of the day, they embedded family structure in their home. so
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 let,
so go ahead.
let me say this, and I want the women to understand what I say when I say this, because it gotta not make sense. How can I agree to a government program? Now, every woman, most women want a man, but how can I agree to a government program that automatically exclude a man from being in my life?
I'm telling you, because I remember when I had 14 years ago when I had my daughter. I was gonna try for some assistance, but they told me that her dad would automatically
Put on child
be
support.
yeah, basically in so many words. And I immediately turned down whatever that assistance was because I felt like as a dad, he was superior. You know, he went CJ, you know, he was the mama for real. If people have to
Yep.
ask, like, who the
Yep.
mama? So I felt like that wasn't fair to him and his, background and his record. He never had a background on record, but for anything to be on his name of that nature, it just wasn't fair to him. So I wasn't gonna do that to him. So,
Got
but a
it.
lot of women don't think like that,
Well, because they didn't know. They were not
or they
taught.
were programmed to do something that their parents taught them to do
Exactly.
because that's what they done.
Exactly.
My mother had 4 baby daddies or kids' fathers, however you want to word it. And she didn't put any of them, now maybe she should have, but none of them went on child support or anything. She took care of her kids the best way she could. So I guess that was a learned behavior from me. If they didn't deserve it, don't do that to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
I think back then when they first started their program, a lot of women knew that the dad had to be out of the household. I don't think that they were blindsided with it. I think they knew, but it was easier for them and it helped them to provide because let's be honest, they weren't, the family dynamic back then was already breaking up.
Yeah.
And they were sleeping with it. That's why you got, well, your granddaddy got kids with the lady down the street and you find out about it after he passed away.
I'm gonna throw this
They
mother.
were doing,
That's because he was the pastor. See, a lot of the men that was doing that was the pastors of the churches.
but it wasn't just them. I'm just saying there was a lot of things back
Yeah.
then that made it
I
easier for the
I ain't say it
woman
was just
to,
them. I said a lot of them because
yeah,
that's where that learned behavior came from.
yeah. What I'm saying is that it made it easier for the women back then to do it because they were providing for their children and they were trying to get the best way they could. But that also
Yeah.
goes back to what the gentleman here, the GOAT, said. I think that, and I'm sorry, I could be wrong. I'm reading a thing. The gentleman came on here later. I'm sorry, I know your name, baby. But when he says that you should know who you lay down with before you procreate, we weren't doing that. We was
Yeah.
just laying down, and then that's where come in. Well, I don't. He broke up with me. He went to so and so, so I'm gonna punish him
Mhm.
because I'm not with him no more. So F him, and he now he doesn't have a say. I have a lot of brothers, and I've seen one thing that I've seen about all my brothers. One thing my dad has always drilled into them: even if you hate their mama, them your kids.
I'm your kids.
I don't care if she got you on child support. If she call and tell you, hey, your son needs some tennis shoes, you make sure your child is okay. My brother, I got a brother who can't stand his baby mama, but guess what? He helps pay the bills so his kids can have somewhere to stay. She eventually took him off child support, but she had to get over her issues just like he had. He still don't like her, but his kids don't know that. We
Yeah.
just don't have the respect for each other to sit down and have those conversations.
What about when the mothers manipulate the situation for their daughters, but when it's on the other hand their son, they don't feel the same way. Now their tune changed. When it's the daughter, then got knocked up for a guy and go put him on child support, girl, so you can get this assistance, you can get TANF, you can get food stamps, you can get da 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 da. Not realizing
We
the
gon'
long lasting effect it may have on him or his relationship with his kids or their relationship in general. Oh, but when the shoe on the other foot is the son, then got some girl knocked up and the girl go put her parents and told her to do the same thing to him. Oh, now she didn't have to do that to him. He take care of his children and he didn't deserve that. And you know,
mm,
And that's a pure
the
definition
dynamic.
of
Yeah.
that's a pure definition of the insanity that goes on in our culture. Because
And that,
why would you do something to someone that you did not want done or don't
One
want
done to
done
you.
to yourself?
and
and that's where it goes back to mothers train their daughters and protect their sons.
Correct.
It's
everything
hard to
y'all
find a mother who will hold her son accountable in his wrongdoing.
Mm-hmm.
But
everything
when
y'all
it comes to that daughter, I believe a
everything
lot
y'all
of
sitting
women
here
hate their
saying,
daughters.
everything y'all sitting here saying is 100% facts. I might not have chimed in the last 10 minutes, but I definitely been listening. But it's exactly why I go about these things the way I do. This is why I talk about relationships and our interactions with each other and the way I do. Because rather people like it or not, rather you, man, let me pull over. Rather you agree or not, this is the way that dating is, and this is the way we interact with y'all, and this is the way y'all interact with us. And I tell women all the time, I say there's only two type of women that give me pushback: the unmarried and the single mothers. Now, rather you disagree or not, again, your son is gonna have to deal with the same things I'm sitting here talking about. And what do you say? Like example, if your daughter come home, I say if my daughters come home a single mother, I'm going to shame them. Am I going to shame them in public? No, I would never do that. But in private, oh hell yeah, because we gotta rectify that behavior. That's not the example I set for you. Here, sit here and say, oh baby, it's okay. We'll take care of them. We'll do this, that, and the third. What you going to do? You gonna go out and do it again because you know you'll have that help. But if we put these preventative measures in place, these things don't happen. Or I can't say it don't happen. It's unlikely to happen. But your son, if your son gets somebody pregnant, what's the first thing you're gonna tell him? Well, you gotta step up and be a man. You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta take care of your kid. We'll do blah blah blah. What is his father gonna tell him? You better make sure that baby is yours.
Yep.
Because whether people know it or not, once she filed for child support, you are entitled to a free DNA test because you have a right to know that this kid is yours before the state take money from you. Now, if you put your name on that birth certificate, you've assumed all responsibility. And to quote the great urban philosopher Kanye, you might know him today, he says 18 years, and on the 18th birthday found out it wasn't his. Tough. But you're paying for it now, brother. So that whole like, responsible and but there are laws in place that's
We lost you.
What you? That nigga sound like he fell off a waterfall.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I understand what they say, but I don't agree. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong because I mean, I think, and it just goes for anywhere it go. We need to implement that before the baby get here,
Yeah,
type shit.
I was gonna say I mean I appreciate the conversation and throwing it in, to concentrate on having the kids, but that's what I want to talk about more before it even gets to the point where kids are involved.
Yeah, and that's where it goes to. We have to have those hard conversations. A lot of people are scared, even in relationships, they are scared to have those hard conversations because their feelings are gonna get hurt.
A lot of people
And they
don't know
don't
how to have
realize
those
that your
conversations.
feelings, your feelings may be hurt right then, but you will get over that hurt like you get over everything else. Have those hard conversations. If you know that this is not the man you want to be with, or you fell out of love with this man and you question whether or not to have kids with him, say that. If this is a woman, I don't care if you've been with her 8 years, if I don't want to be with this woman, I can't have kids with her, say that. It becomes a problem when you start stringing people along and then y'all done had kids and y'all never had those conversations.
Well, I want to say this to go back a little bit further. Make sure you're a person that's actually done the work on yourself, because if you've worked on yourself, then you actually come to a point where you know how to first effectively communicate and not actually just looking to be in a relationship, looking for a life partner. Your visions for yourself change when you actually go through healing processes. Your outlook is different. So we really need to start dealing with our mental. We need to, like Trina said earlier, we need to unlearn a lot of learned behavior. Relationships are great. I really truly feel like, it's not meant for man to be alone. But at the end of the day, what we need to do is, before we even concentrate on a relationship, get self together first.
Man, if we would have knew that, before.
The last thing I want to say, and then I'm going to let somebody else go. When you get in a relationship, you are supposed to come with a certain wholeness. But a lot of people have been taught, get in a relationship and let the other person fix you.
Ooh-wee.
That was a mouthful.
Yeah,
Damn. I want to know. I want to know how that shit gonna work. Shit.
I mean, hey,
Trauma can't heal trauma.
trauma cannot heal trauma, and
but
most people in relationships these days trauma bond, and from the beginning.
and I'm with you. But also though, like my sister said earlier, if you don't see as a man, I'm speaking strictly to the fellas. If this is not a woman you can't see yourself committing to, do not stay. But you're not going to commit, because that's wasting her time, wasting your time, and this always ends bad.
And the woman
And
has to be responsible for the situation as well, because at the end of the day, know when somebody blowing smoke up your ass.
Yeah.
come
See,
on,
we need to find this out. And I'm glad, Mike, you turned me on to this show because I was watching. I told you I wanted to do a show on that with Candace Owens, that one on Fresh and Fit, because this girl was going with a man, and when he asked her about marriage, they've been going together for about 2-3 years. And when she asked him about marriage, when we gonna get married, he said, "I didn't never plan on marrying you." So why? We need to establish some shit in the beginning of this relationship. Because
Boundaries.
yeah, because if I'm a man or a
But you
woman,
gotta have those conversations. Y'all, real quick, the goat said, my best advice, and oh my God, I love this. But see,
Yeah, I read it too.
he taking me to we're gonna have a whole panel discussion on that too. My best advice going forward is understanding that the black anatomy, we are sun being, fruit, veggies, and herbs, and are the key to unlocking your true purposes. So many American toxins have hurt us physically. And baby, when I say I agree with this statement 100%, because all them chemicals and stuff going in the body and this and then the other, it messes with the brain.
yeah, McDonald's is fucking up the household.
hey, let me preference what I have to say by saying this. He's right. I don't disagree, but this is the only thing about that. You are trying to Africanize or de-Americanize America, and that's just not gonna happen.
What
But
you
we're
mean?
not.
Wait. What you
But
mean?
we're not Americans.
I was just about to say, what do you mean de-Americanized? Because technically we're not Americans.
Yeah, we
You
don't
are.
even know who we is. That's why we.
Hold on, wait a minute. You are a citizen of the United States of America. You
By
was born
force.
here in America. You
By
was
force.
forcefully born here. You was not forcefully born here, brother. Slavery
Yes,
was
we
been over
were.
years.
But
No, no.
our people
I'm
was
talking-
put here.
You, you,
Our but
you,
our
you.
So what about
our
us that come from
ancestors,
mulatto homes and mulatto backgrounds? What about us?
Okay. Well, wait, what?
our blood, the
We not
Yeah.
American?
bloodline.
Okay. They came from where? Right?
That's what I'm
Right?
confused at, because my great grandmother was white, my great grandfather was black, my grandmother was, and her siblings were mulatto. So I'm trying to understand.
And,
I'm
well,
American.
you said
You
here's
are a nigga by choice. By if you got 1% blood black in you, you are a Negro.
But I'm
That
American at
mulatto.
the end of the day.
No,
I'm
you a
right.
nigga,
You're
boy.
America.
You a
right.
native.
I was born in America. I'm an
So you're
American citizen.
Yeah, you was
that's
born in America.
that's my
You are
point.
American. Even in slavery, they was American citizens, but they wasn't born here. So I mean, at the end of the day,
Jermaine, check me out. Check me out.
But if
Check me
they
out.
had firsthand ancestors from over there, so that's why they probably wouldn't consider themselves Americans. But we don't have, most of us don't have firsthand ancestors from over there. So
but
we are definitely
And
American.
I'm gonna ask you this
and
though.
this is my this is my and this is my
ask you
thing
this
though, Jay.
Go ahead.
If you don't that we are not Americans, you're saying that you're
You in the
basically
matrix.
saying we're from
You
Africa.
you in the matrix,
I'm
Mike.
not saying that
Start
either
over.
because I'm not saying that either because we're not from there either.
We gotta be from somewhere.
I mean, it's
Where we
deeper than that.
from?
That's why I say I have to go into the Bible for that. And we going too far and off track because
100,
we're not.
100, 100.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
going too
well
deep. We too far
we'll
off the
channel
track.
that conversation. We'll channel that conversation for another day. So what we gonna do
Yeah.
is, based on the topic, everybody go ahead and give their closing remarks. And cause y'all know I can't, my nerves get bad when we on here over so many minutes. So we'll start with Monkey Man, and if you can, just give us, you know what I'm saying, your personal recap of the show and any encouraging words.
Um, no more generational welfare. Let's stop generational welfare. Generational wealth is not money. Generational wealth is teaching your child or somebody a skill that they can pass down and make money off of. Like if you know how to cut hair, if you know how to cut grass, you know how to do hair, and you pass that down to your child, you know that your child can make money doing that, or whatever the case. If you're a brick mason, if you're whatever, or a mechanic, and then too, if your child don't want to do that, support them in what they want to do, whether it's weird or not, because we always get caught up in, oh, we're black, we don't do that. It's a boy right now that my that my wife pick up. You know who I'm talking about? The Aiden little boy. He plays golf. I've never met a nigga out the hood that plays golf. That's what he want to do. Fourth grader. Encourage him to play golf. Everybody ain't got to pick up a basketball, football. Encourage them to do whatever they want to. Paint, dance, flip, hell, whatever. Shit, just make sure they the best at what they do and support them in it. That's all.
Right. But
Right. All
also
right,
to add
Hattie,
to
you want to
that,
go?
I would like to say, you have to recognize not only the good things, but heal those things that are broken. You have to, that needs to be a highlight in our homes as well. Because a lot of times, like with me and my children personally, I support them in whatever they do. But if it's a bad trait, characteristic that they carry, we need to work on that as well. So we just need to agree as a society, as a collective, to not only work on us and heal us. Don't forget about those children, because it was not always that we were healed. It's not always that we weren't the toxic ones. So they got a little bit of that as well. So if we can just agree to work on the children too, I
All
think
right.
we'll be going in the right direction.
All right, Mike, you want to go?
Make therapy cool again.
Yes.
It was never
We
cool in
cannot
a
get
black
nowhere.
household, but yeah,
Okay, well, yeah, make therapy a thing. Make
yeah,
Yeah,
therapy a part of
yeah,
black
that's
culture.
it.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
Like, because we can have conversations all day. We can talk until the cows come home until we're blue in the face. But if you have such a low level of understanding and retention, this will
Hmm.
never go anywhere.
Right.
And you can gain now granted, you can gain a level of understanding and retention by working on self, but you work on self by way of therapy. Because working on self is never a self-fulfilling prophecy. You will never be able to just self-gauge yourself. Because if so, you will be able to rectify your behavior as soon as you do it, or before you do it, actually.
Right.
So that's what I got.
Before Trina goes, Mike, I want to tell you something. Like, thank you for this one
Talk to me.
statement that you said on our podcast one time, and I gave you a little bit of kickback when you first said it. You know, when the subject was "I'm working on me," and you was like, "But don't forget, you can work on you." But you still need to be in some form of a relationship, because how you gonna even
Come on
know
now.
if you worked on those things if you're in the ring by
I got
yourself?
you.
And
I got you.
when I tell you that right there, I saw that thing come to fruition. And I just want to tell you
Oh
thank
man.
you so much,
Oh man,
because
you so welcome.
man, that was an eye opener. It really was. And even if it
Man,
didn't, even if it didn't get like the proper how do I want to say this? If it didn't get the proper response with one person, it still showed me that I'm working on myself. Like, some things are
got
working.
you.
So I just
Got
want to tell you thank you for that. For real, for real.
you.
And look
Yeah,
here.
and I'll state it again. I'll state it again just for the record for those that never heard me say it. I said working on yourself is great. Like I would never denounce working on yourself. But also understand this: you'll be 70 years old working on yourself. You'll be 80 years old working on yourself. You'll be 90 years old working on yourself. The basic point is you'll never stop working on self, because the second you stop working on self, it gives off the interpretation that you're what? Perfect.
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 Yeah.
Perfect.
Hey,
But
And if anybody want to
Relationship.
give CJ or Mike a donation, send it to Tina Skittles.
That
Thank
don't
you.
say
We're
this nigga here.
not over that
$.
message.
Tina Skittles.
All right, Trina, yo go.
Yeah. I would just say if I can give y'all one piece of advice to start your healing process or to help you move forward, it would be to write down every quality that you want in a partner. Everything good, every quality you want. And once you finish that list, then you compare yourself to it. If you don't hit all the dots that you want, you have some work to do.
That's good.
And that'll start you breaking some of those generational curses.
That's good.
Love it, love it, love it. So I'm gonna say this, y'all. Remember the same grace that you want for yourself when you are working on self. You do have to extend that grace. Um, to somebody that you're asking to actually be up in your life and be a part of what you're going through. That's your kids, that's parents, that's friends. But do not get it twisted. It is perfectly okay for you to create healthy boundaries. And anybody who does not respect your healthy boundaries, it's okay for you to love them from a distance. But I just want us to, like Hattie, you said something. You said, let's not forget that we once, the kids, um you know, they
They
learned it from
started
somewhere. In a nutshell, they learned it from somewhere, right? So what I
mm-hmm.
learned to do with my children was create a safe place for them to be able to communicate with me. I don't sit up and yell at them no more because you didn't do this and you didn't do this and you didn't do that. That's not healthy, because now you're causing them to have to build up, first of all, a defense mechanism. You're tearing them down without pouring love into them and actually sitting them down and explaining to them. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. My kids can't stand for me to get to talking, not fussing, talking, because they know, oh Lord, Mama fit to go on and on and on. But I do that because I want them to first hear me. I want them to hear me. I want them to understand that I'm telling you these things because it's going to add on to you. And then I also create a safe place for them to be able to come back and talk to me. So guess what? Eventually, we're not going to even have to have this discussion again because
Right.
the lesson is going to be learned and it's done
Right.
in love.
That's
And,
me.
and the last thing I want to say, anybody that is in a relationship today, when we talk about learned behavior, we could avoid a lot of problems in relationships if we learn not only how to effectively communicate, but start communicating respectfully. I say this, and I mean this in its entirety. Like, I want my relationship, I want to talk to my man like I would talk to my boss if I didn't want to get fired from my job.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Because a relationship is work. And if you can bite your tongue with your boss because you know you need that job to take care of your family or yourself, then guess what? You can apply that same respect to your spouse or your girlfriend or boyfriend. It might be hard. It might be hard, but if the relationship, first of all, if the relationship is healthy, now I ain't saying it's gonna be perfect, it's gonna happen all the time, because guess what? We all
Yeah.
have our days and our moments. But if we put the effort into treating them and handling them a certain way, you'll start to see some of those walls come down and some of the behavior change. If the relationship ain't toxic.
Yep.
Hey, I got
So
one more thing.
yeah.
Hey, look here. If y'all want to work on self healing, this the first thing you need to do. Go to the nearest nail shop and scrub that white shit off the back of your heel. Because that is toxic.
Bye. Y'all done?
Love y'all. Everybody, thank y'all for tuning in. We will see y'all next time. Peace.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.